Fans, I'm joined now by team president and general manager Trevor Georgie. Trevor, welcome back to the show. I believe you're a three-time guest now. You lead the entire league in appearances on Monday Night Mics. Are you looking for co-host credits? Is that why you keep coming back?
I am absolutely.
I
Quite an honor.
know, I know a guy might be able to get you in.
Thanks.
But congratulations on another draft in the books. It's always, hard to say right off the bat. Was it a success, or did you get all the pieces you wanted until, 2, 3, 4, 5 years down the road when some of these guys debut and make their impact on the league? But what were your overall draft impressions when you woke up Sunday morning?
Yeah, we're really pleased with how our draft went. Each year is a bit different. Each year you're kind of strategically trying to do different things, and then this year what we set out to accomplish, was to add some size to our lineup and add some size throughout the organization and some depth in different positions. I mean, last year I think Anthony and I laughed that last year. Um, we were short on, I think, left shot D in the system, and then we drafted like 4 or 5 of them this year. So we were able to, I think, identify a couple areas going into the draft that we wanted to improve, and we think we have a couple, prospects we certainly got much later than we expected. So that's always a treat. But yeah, overall it was great. I mean, certainly not doing it live in the rink and having that whole show. I know I think it was Sherbrooke this year was hosting. They're pretty disappointed not having it there, but it's a different experience. But maybe just off the top, a big thank you to Anthony and all of our scouts for all the hard work they put in throughout the year. They're absolutely incredible what they do and very dedicated to their craft. And I mean, by name, Anthony, Sid, Sean, Wayne, Marco, Tristan, Justin, um, have all contributed greatly. So thanks to them. It's their big day.
Yeah, it was a shame they couldn't be there. And you mentioned you kind of missed the show and the in-person stuff, and obviously that is a really fun part of the draft. But that didn't mean it wasn't any less stressful. I found like I was sitting there in the room with you and Anthony, and like the phone's ringing every 3 seconds, and okay, it's our pick, and we have 30 seconds, and there's countdowns aplenty. We had 15 different screens up. Like it's not you're not just sitting there like, oh, it's third overall. Yeah, I guess we'll pick now. It's a pretty intense. 2 days, geez, it seemed to last quite a while. But did you feel, I know we talked going into the draft that we didn't really know, is it going to be more crazy, more trades of GMs, but just been, going stir crazy that they're just waiting to pull the trigger? Did you find that it was kind of a quote unquote normal draft in terms of the amount of transactions and things, or did you find it was pretty busy this year?
Good question. I think it was consistent. I didn't think it was busier. It was a bit different because you did have some teams that were definitely, and some did obviously offload kind of, that 1 year star. Some teams did that. Um, and some teams I think were looking to do that, but just didn't, just a lot of teams were reluctant to pay the price for the 1 year of a star when you don't really know what for your 1 year is 68 games or if it's 36 games or what it looks like. It's more challenging, I think, to sell at this point. I'm happy that we're not in that market because I think it'd be pretty challenging, especially as teams spend. Teams like Valdor and PI already got out of the gates and spent quite a few of their assets. So I think that slowed things down for some of the team. Maybe the team looking to sell the big guns. I missed the on draft floor and that whole experience. I think it's a really good. I like that face to face combat for negotiation and for dealing with the other teams. But I mean, I think the thing that is probably maybe underappreciated across the industry is from head scouts and GM work is your preparation for like 95% of preparation for scenarios that 95% of the time never actually happen. So I think that preparation, regardless if it's online or if it's in person, you're prepared for all kinds of different scenarios, and I have to be ready to go because you're under a time crunch. So it felt like on Sunday that when you have too many screens open on your computer, and then on Sunday you've closed a couple screens, and now you can think a bit more clearly. It certainly felt like that. I think I don't want to speak for Anthony, but certainly for me, it felt like a couple tabs were closed, and you could start to open up some space to think through some other things.
And you talked about, 95% of the scenarios don't end up happening. And even sitting there, I mean, there was 3 or 4 trades off the top of my head that, calls came in that was like, hey, what about this? And you think about it, but all of a sudden a player you were looking at gets drafted right before your pick. Okay, that's off the table. And then the phone rings again. And you always kind of mention, like, if only people knew, 99% of the stuff that almost happened or almost occurred in these big blockbuster trades. But I mean, it was everything from, semi blockbusters to, I'll trade you an 11th for a 10th sort of thing. But it's crazy the amount that, like you said, that happens in a draft day that doesn't actually come to fruition.
For sure.
So I do want to talk about one of the acquisitions we did make, and one of the trades we did make on that day was the acquisition of Anthony Pagliarulo, goaltender coming out of Chicoutimi. Can you talk a little bit about kind of maybe how that trade happened, what the plan was around that?
Yeah, we're looking for going to next season to have a platoon situation with Noah Patnode and an older goalie to support him. And so looking around the league and looking at kind of prices that made sense for us and where we're at, and given one kind of the uncertainty around next season, so what are we prepared to spend, and two, the fact that we want to have that platoon situation, and a situation where each one pushes each one another. It made sense to go get a veteran goalie, a 20-year-old. But not necessarily spend the farm for it. And for Peg, I mean, he's played a number of years in the league. He's a serviceable goalie in this league. 20-year-old goalies, you certainly, from our experience in acquiring them, look at a guy like Boots that had been on we were his third team that he landed on, and look at the season that he had, an MVP season for us. So I think 20-year-old goalies can provide a lot of stability for a team and give a team a chance to win every night. And for us to move back a couple spots with Shawinigan, pick up a 7th, still draft the player we wanted anyways, and then use that 7th to go get Peg, I think made a lot of sense for us. And I know that for Peg, I think I know from speaking to him, he's really excited for the opportunity.
That's awesome. And I remember trying to come up with the trade graphics and stuff. I think we had that 7th-round pick for all of 12 minutes before it got swapped over. So kudos on that one. Another one of the trades that occurred was the trade with Valdor that involved Maxim Chaykovich. And then obviously that opens up different scenarios for our Euro draft that's coming up at the end of the month. Can you talk a little bit about that, kind of what we're looking at for the Euro draft and how that trade came to be?
Yeah, look, Max is a great player. Obviously, we took Max first overall in the import draft a few seasons ago. And we missed quite a bit of last season for us. And I think that did a few things. It allowed us to see that we could still get wins and still produce offensively. That wasn't our problem. Still score goals last year, even without him in the lineup. And then we've added a lot of offensive pieces as well. That paired with the import draft coming up, and Max being a 1-year guy, again, going back to kind of the uncertainty over this upcoming season, the length of season, all those different things surrounding kind of European players too, and then borders. It just was an opportunity for us to replenish some picks that we had lost over the years for future years. Give Max a chance to go play, first line minutes with a team far away from us, but we don't have to face him game in, game out. Because he's a heck of a player, but also gives us a chance to replenish some of Max's offense through the import draft, and have a player that could be here multiple seasons for us. This is probably as high as we're going to be picking in the import draft for a while. So to go have 1 year of Max versus drafting a player where you get multiple seasons, it made a lot of sense for us. And look, we wish Max the best of luck. He was a very colorful personality, and I had a long chat with him last week after it all went down for about 40 minutes, just chatting with the future and that. So I look forward to Max, having a great career.
Me as well. Now, we talked about the stress of draft day, and the Euro draft is kind of its own beast. I won't get into all that, but I do look forward to that. A little less stressful because it's only the 2 picks that every team has, but you're competing against 60 teams across the CHL on that one instead of just the 18 of the Q. So good luck with that. I don't envy your situation on that one. The last one I did want to touch on, just because this was something that's been coming up quite a bit over the last few weeks. Obviously, we ended the season with Jeff Cowan holding the interim head coach title. Can you just talk about kind of what's the current situation around the team's coaching?
Yeah, I mean, first, I mean, Jeff did a great job. Has done a great job as interim head coach. Him and Steph took the team on quite the ride. Early December and after Christmas. So they're doing a great job with the team. For us, for our coaching for next season, we're still in the process of deciding. There will be a third coach. In our mix here with Jeff and Steph. What that looks like, who that may be, and what the functions kind of each will be, yet to be determined. But something that we're looking at, and we're now that the draft is over, something we're looking at with a little bit more attention.
All right. Well, news that we'll be looking for in the coming weeks and seeing what happens. Well, I just want to say good luck in the upcoming Euro draft and the plans and things for our training camp, etc. I know people think the draft is done and summer begins, but that just means the work starts for players and staff alike. So good luck, and hope we'll see you in the office soon, I imagine.
Sounds good. Thanks a lot, John.
No problem.
All right.